Hello, everyone. I am LaDonna McAbee, and I am your networking expert host today. And I want to welcome Traci Poe from Communication Great. Hello, Traci. Hello, how are you?
I'm good, LaDonna. Thanks for having me on. I'm really looking forward to this. I have my own podcast, and so I'm used to bringing guests on and interviewing them. So this is a switch for me.
Oh, awesome, awesome. And you know what? That is great to know because I love to be interviewed. I do. I think that's a teaching moment for
Hmm.
if you can just give a little golden nugget to capture someone's attention, you've done your job for your recording. That's the way I feel anyway.
There you go.
It's a learning time, it's a teaching time. So, absolutely. So, Traci, in about 30 seconds, let me know what is different about you and communicate great than what maybe for someone else. What makes you different?
Sure. So at Communicate Great, I say whether it's for your personal life or for your professional life, we're going to help you level up your communication skills so that you can gain deeper connections with people, stronger relationships with people, and gain greater impact in people's lives. And so I really take it from whether we're talking to you for your personal life or for your professional life. So that is one thing that we kind of do both sides of the coin. But here is the deal. Communication is communication, right? And if you're not listening effectively at home, let's say, you're probably not listening effectively at work and vice versa. So we really look at what those skills are that are going to play into both. But then we also just talk to each one of those segments specifically, if that makes sense. So another thing that maybe sets me apart is I have this passion to really help people. And I'm not saying other people don't, but I have a spiritual gift. It's exhortation. And that is basically speaking the truth, but encouraging others. And so I'm just like this built-in cheerleader. And anybody that I work with, I'm going to be behind that person, letting them know, yes, you can do this. We've got this. Let's go. Let's do this. So that's just kind of part of my personality that lends itself into basically whether I'm coaching or facilitating or teaching, whatever it is, I still have that in me to really get behind the people and encourage them.
That is awesome. And I love how you said that because I am all about the teaching, not just teaching, but really letting people know that they are brilliant in their own way, no matter what, they are brilliant. And I was smiling really big as you were talking because that is one thing that I am really keyed up on is you heard so much in the older, my grandchildren tell me the dinosaur years.
Yeah,
I
right.
was born in the dinosaur years. But, back in the day, it was always when you went to a workplace, it was always you have to divide your family from work. And as time has went and being an entrepreneur for over 40 years, I can tell you, you cannot divide them. You can
Right.
try, but
Hmm.
if you leave a sick baby at home, even if it's with the other parent, you're still leaving the baby at home. You're going to be wondering what's going on with the baby. If you
Right.
have an unpaid bill, if you have a broken car, whatever it may be, it's not two, it's one.
Right.
Really one. And you're right. If you can't communicate at work, in your business, with a client, with a customer, how in the world are you going to communicate at home and vice versa?
Exactly.
And you know what I think what was so important in what you said is that the heart that you put out. You're a giver. I can tell you're a giver. I'm a giver. I when I get a client or they're on my virtual platform, if they're a friend, I don't care who they are. If I know you, I am going to be one of your best cheerleaders.
Yes.
I am going to be behind you 100%. It does not stop when you're no longer on my platform speaking or attending one of my events, or you have graduated the class that you took with me and you don't want a class or whatever it is. I'm still there because I gave you 110% or more. So I
Right.
want you to succeed. I want you to
Mhm.
feel great about what you're doing and who you are and why you're doing it. So yeah, I think that's so important in any business, but also in your home life. Being a
Yes.
mom, being a wife, being a spouse, being the taxi and the banker and the ATM machines and so many things that a parent wears hats for. And then
Right.
put all your business hats on. I don't know about you, in my business, I wear more than one hat
Yes.
because
Mhm.
being an entrepreneur, we don't get to do just one thing,
Right.
many things to do. Um,
Right. Mhm.
so what made you and how long ago did you create Communicate Great?
Okay, so let's take it back way, 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 way back. You are going to regret asking me this question, LaDonna. So, years ago, I was working on my master's and I had to do a project. And so I chose to put on a workshop for the students at the college I was attending. And it was academic survival skills, but I was bringing in elements of communication. So, note taking, reading, all the things that really do involve those basic communication skills. And so after I finished that, I just felt this is it. This is what I want to do. I want to help people with their communication skills. So now let's skip forward. I was doing those things, but for different organizations. I come from a nonprofit world where I was doing things within my communication umbrella, but not for me. So a couple of years ago, after you do nonprofits for a while, I just feel like there's burnout, right? And so after 20 something years of different nonprofits at different levels, either basically full-time volunteering or on payroll, whatever it looked like, I just burnt out. And it was impacting the hours I was putting in because even when you're in a small organization, right? Entrepreneur, it doesn't matter. You're still wearing multiple hats. So I was putting in crazy hours and it was impacting my health, my relationships at home, my spiritual walk. And I just had to walk away. And so, as I was looking for a job, I thought, I'm done with the nonprofit world, right? And I'm going to work for a for profit company and give. Like, I still am very passionate about nonprofits. I've got some things going on with nonprofits with Communicate Great, but I'm very passionate about them. But I started looking at these for-profit companies, and the more I looked at them, the more I just wanted to vomit. Honestly, it just was like, oh. And so I just started hearing that voice, God just like, remember that dream that I put in you all those years ago. And so he dropped the name Communicate Great. And I know that we've had multiple conversations. I don't know if you know this story, but I am a rule follower. And so I thought, Communicate Great, is that grammatically correct? And so I looked it up in three different places to make sure it was grammatically correct. And it is, because I thought I don't want to say Communicate Great and have it be incorrect. So anyhow, so he dropped that name and I was like, yeah, I like that. That's fun. I like to have fun. My family likes to have fun. We like joking and all kinds of things. So I just want to have that fun. And so that is kind of the story of Communicate Great. I really started it a couple of years ago, but that does not mean that I have not been in the communication world for a really long time. So that is the genesis of Communicate Great. It that desire was dropped in a long time ago, but it's just coming to fruition where I'm doing it for my company and not for different nonprofits, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. I think the majority, if not all the people I talk to has a story similar. And my story too, I started like 7 or 8 years old helping my mom in the Avon business. She would send me down the street with a book and an order form, and I would, drop everything on that little order pad or have them fill it out. When the product came in, I would take it back. And
Love it.
then I started, as I got older, I was still in the entrepreneurial world some way or another, teaching someone something,
Yes.
training someone to do something, teaching someone how to build their own website, how to build their own um, uh, platforms or groups. And one day I'm thinking to myself, why do I not get paid for this?
Right.
Not to give. Don't get
Mhm.
me wrong. We love to give,
Mhm.
but let's be for real. We have to keep a roof over our head and the lights on. It's not.
Right. Right.
So we want to be rewarded as well. We want to be
Right.
rewarded as well. And one thing that you said, and I know that your title is Communicate Great,
Mhm.
but so many people forget that communication is more than speaking. And you
Yes.
mentioned that just a little while ago about listening.
Hmm.
And, that was, I still catch myself doing it. I want to talk all the time. And I'm teaching myself every day to be a little bit more patient and listen a little bit more.
Right.
And it's
Right. It's a skill. So I taught two different classes for college. One was public speaking, and that's one of the things I love to do with people. And yes, your communication skills definitely come in, even listening when you're speaking. So, and the other one was interpersonal communication. And one of my favorite chunks of that class was to teach on listening. And of course, you always had the student who, when I would introduce the topic, we're going to talk about listening, they would do the, huh? And it's like, oh, you're so funny. I haven't heard that every single class I teach. But anyhow, so many people think I'm a great listener, and I have my own story with this. When I was working on my master's, one of my courses was listening. It was a 16-week course on listening. And I thought, Psh, I got this. I'm a great listener. So I go to class and I'm leaving that night, walking to my car in tears because I realized just in night one, I was not a good listener. So I think, again, so many people think I'm a great listener, but when you actually start studying it and all of the facets involved, you figure out, wow, I have some improvement to make here. So yes, I love that topic of listening. That's probably one of my favorite topics.
Yes, because I think people lose out on not giving your client the chance to tell you what they need.
Yes,
And if we don't know what they need, how can we help them?
right,
We have
right.
to ask the right question, but we also have to listen to their answer.
Mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm.
I have found it to be so fundamental of yes, it should be easy, but it's not. It's not for me. And I think really, if people were honest, it's just not easy. And when you're
Right,
listening to what they need, you have to really listen deep because they don't always tell you what's underneath what they just said, if that makes sense.
right,
Drag it sometimes, drag it out.
right, right,
And
right.
that is a communication skill that
Yes.
so many people are missing. And when I get clients, I will say, well, I think we really need to start with communication.
Yes, yes.
Because
And
you don't
you,
got it. But, I can't say that, of course. But
right, right, right. And you talked about asking questions with listening, and they actually are part of the same process.
Oh,
And so, yes, in a business, if I've got a client and I'm going to be doing one-on-one coaching, or I'm trying to figure out would they be better in a community of mine, whatever that looks like, you do have to ask the questions and listen, and based on those answers, ask the next question, because you don't want to put somebody in a program or product that you have that's not going to be beneficial to them.
oh,
That's a waste of their time, their money, your time. And then it just looks like, do I really know what I'm doing if I'm trying to like shove the round in a square hole, right? So
you are absolutely right.
that's right.
I think so many people that I teach are coaches or mentors, strategists, whatever. And I, it's dragging it out, listening. I teach them, you have to ask 3 to 5 times. You are shortchanging yourself and not doing the good service for them if you're not asking them about the same thing at least 3 times. Because especially when they don't know you too well, they don't want to tell you everything. They want to
Right.
pull back. But I need
Right.
to know the whole bowl of gravy. I just spill it.
Right.
Here's the bowl, spill it out. Now let's put it together. Let's put
Right.
the puzzle pieces together. And
Hmm.
I love it when they walk away with that big smile on their face and they have the answers they came for, right?
Right.
That's what we
Right.
want as
Yes.
teachers, as coaches. So
Yeah.
um, I did not want to close this interview until I ask you one more question.
Okay. All
So
right.
there's something really, really unique about you that I think is really, really unique in any kind of person. And I want you to tell us about some things that you have written that the majority of us don't really think about where they come from.
That's interesting. So some people will say, oh, well, you published, but what book do you have? And I don't have a book. So one of the things that, or one of the types of things that I publish, there's an organization here in Texas. It's called BGCT, the Baptist General Convention of Texas. And one of the things they do there is that they publish material for small groups, Sunday school, different churches call it different things. And so for several years, I was not the only writer doing this, but I was one of the writers doing this. I wrote basically the lesson plan. I wrote what the leader or the teacher or the facilitator would read. I wasn't writing what the person sitting in the seat was reading. I was giving the instructions on what they would teach. So I did that for years, and that was always fun. It was very rewarding, very stressful, but that was good. So that's one of the things that I've done in terms of publishing. That's not a book. I actually am writing one. Years ago, I wanted to write in life, right? And so never wrote. And so now I'm actually working on one. I started feeling that, hey, talk about bringing up another dream, right? Like
Yeah,
remember that seed. And so I actually am going to be writing a book, or well, I've started. I'm about halfway through on one of the talks that I give, and it's about running your race looking forward. And so I'm actually going to be giving a presentation on that fairly soon. But that's one of the things, one of my life lessons that I like to share with people, because, everybody goes through stuff, but it's how do you respond to that stuff? And so that is the hard lesson that I had to live out. And now that I've lived that out, I want to share that with other people.
absolutely. And you know what? When you talk, it's almost like we're sisters and we don't know it. But I always tell people the 30-year-old LaDonna is not the LaDonna sitting in front of you.
Right.
As the 30-year-old LaDonna didn't use um, choice words sometimes, she would lash out in anger and tell you how she really felt
Mm,
before really settling down. And now it's not that things don't happen, they still happen.
Right.
Life happens no matter what age you are. It's just different.
Right.
But I have learned it is different in the way I react to it.
Mhm.
And I have just told myself if it's not worth getting really upset about it, I'm just not going to do it.
Right.
Even at that point, I will step back and say, okay, think, how should I handle it?
Right. Hmm.
Because, you have to respond in a beneficial way for yourself and the other person.
Right.
Because you can't act like a fool and get somewhere. You just
No, no, you can't. And you also have to know when it's okay to walk away. One of the things that I ask people is which is more important, your relationship or being right, right? You got to pick one. If you swear this person is wrong, is it worth damage to your relationship if you're not handling it in the right way? If
it's
you're handling it in the right way, okay.
yeah,
But most often we're not. It comes down to this, you were talking about ask the question 3 times. I would add to that, and I'm sure this is what you mean, but use different words. Because if you're asking the same question, if you're asking the same question, if you're asking the same question, and you never switch up the words, then you're getting into that spiral as well. So
absolutely. You have to go each situation the way I explain it has a north and south, east and west, and
right,
coming all angles so that you can touch on everything that you need to touch on for yourself and for others.
right,
If you're not treating yourself right, how can you teach others to treat themselves right in any situation?
right,
I mean,
right,
girl, I've been married 41 years. Do you think I have fussed about everything that man has done in his life?
right now.
It's not worth it. And probably fussed too much with him when we were younger.
Right.
And
Mhm.
now it's like, oh, you folded the towels wrong. Okay, fine.
Right.
I
Yeah.
showed
It,
you this for 40 years how to fold the towels, but it's just not worth it.
yes. Yes. We have to find those offenses that we can overlook,
Yeah.
right? That we can just move on from.
Yes. With your
Mhm.
own life and your business life. That's why I was
Yes.
bringing this up. It
Yes.
is, and it does, and it will, and it has, and you can put all the other words in there. It affects both
100%. Yes.
personal.
100%.
So, yes, it has been a blessing to have you here. I am still a little jealous on your work through the church organizations. That is just remarkable. I know that tickles your heart, right along with everything you do for your business with Communicate Great. And I look forward to getting to know you much, much better, Traci. Have a wonderful day and see everyone next time.
LaDonna, thank you.
Thank you.